Okay, so this is where I'm at with the project for the end of the first week. Um, I may have started doing crazy things and editing it just to have fun, but the this is now the landing page for the well, it's a single page, but this is where you start off for the vacation website. So you can see there's a hover effect right here. Leave your stress behind. Let's travel. Smooth scrolls down there with a sticky bar. So you'll see like it actually sticks and changes. Destination name. So like let's go to um, like the Riverwalk in San Antonio. We're just not even gonna bother with the description. Add to list. Shampoo! Actually, that's too funny. It's not the Riverwalk, but it is SeaWorld. We're getting kind of close. Something really popular like the Statue of Liberty in New York. It's going to probably be found. But it is finding a random thing in there. Like we can even see that there's like different pictures. And then it is going to resize them according to like the biggest ones. So some of them are going to be a little wonky, but I kind of dig it. And then the other thing I put it in here is that instead of having all the stuff scroll down, the left is going to stay the same, and then there's an overflow on the right so that we don't lose our form. And same thing as before, we're able to remove as necessary, and then like let's say if we want to edit specifically this statue, um, rename that's not the statue. And then change the location to not New York. We don't care about the description, and it spontaneously disappears. So have some work to do on it. How funny. Anyway, another bug to find. So the way that we were able to accomplish this was with a good amount of await and it was like the asynchronous await uh, promises and utilizing the API for Unsplash. So my style sheet has kind of blown up, and I need someone one day to teach me how to make a style sheet that doesn't look like someone vomited on it, because it's everywhere and it's terrible. The HTML, everything's still in the one index because injecting it was like impossible. Um, yeah, and then what time is it? 2:50. And then we have our Unsplash API. So I am writing it, or we have an asynchronous function where I'm going to request the query name and query location, so that way we can concatenate and make like a full URL request for since it's a REST API. So we first trim any white spaces on the outside of both of them, and then we're going to look for any white space, and then we're going to replace that with a dash or a hyphen, and then put everything to lowercase, and that's just per the documentation that like that when you look it up, that's how it is. I'm also concatenating the two together with a %2 capital C because that is the way it's required. Once again, it's just reading the documentation. I have my API key exposed right here, and so I'm going to be able to do the URL, just build it up, and then we're going to make a new promise. So we're going to create an HTTP request. It's traditionally called request. Some people call it HTTP. We're going to, like, the CRUD, we're going to use the get function with the URL. And it's having trouble actually receiving it as JSON. I don't really know why. So I'm receiving it as text and then parsing into JSON because, I don't know, douchebags. And I have error messages just in case, spontaneous console logs because I was getting lost. So that's the end of the APIs. Please ignore the failures part. We have banner functionality that's for the scrolling stickies. We have the buttons as before, cards as before. The only big difference is having to take out the areas that pertain to the original way of copying and pasting the URL. And same thing with the prompts, which this is going to end up getting changed. A, because apparently it's broken now, and then B, because I'd rather have it pop up as a modal since Windows prompts can be really funky and different. But a modal we can make pretty and then make it the same user experience across like basically um, like operating system and uh, browser agnostic. Everything else is still the same. I'm gonna pause while I bring up the last thing. Okay, and I'm back and I am got my other computer so we can talk really briefly about promises and async, but I'm very bad and very confused on this. But there's definitely like this kind of async hell that they talk about where things start getting so extremely confusing because like it's like our function, which we're going to call do something. If there is, I'm just going to say this is a long operation. We have a function called do something and it's going to take like a long time, like say 10 seconds to be able to grab this. Like everything is held up. We can't reach to the second function until this is absolutely complete. And so what they've figured out is basically make a promise, be like, look, we'll return something real fast, but it's not going to be right. But when it's done, promise me you're going to come back. And so that's really kind of what it's doing. So let's go through. Okay, so I have some examples. You can, I mean, it's all online as well. You can chain some promises, you can catch them and deal with the errors. Note that there are 3 different states to include pending, fulfilled, and rejected. This I got to use once. It was actually really cool. The promise all, and then you have like a promise any, which is like the same way that it's like don't do anything else, or don't do like the result until everything inside the like the little array is actually completed. I think I have an example. Oh, I did it for an any. Yeah, so we create a little array, gets it done, and then once it's actually complete, the response is held, and we can say like the fetch promise that we can put the .url and the .status, so that the status could be like the 200, 300, 400. And then we have just basically the using, also the obviously the I'm super confused during this. We could add event listeners to it. Where is the rest? That's it. But there's still a lot to be done with async in a way because I was able to get stuff working, but it's honestly just duct tape that has no business actually being functional, and I don't even know how it is. But that is it for the moment. Thank you very much.